Good morning to you once again at this hour on the business desk. A local rating agency has stressed the importance of African countries being assessed by domestic agencies. The world's credit ratings are handled by three international giants who together control an estimated 95% of the global business, which include Moody's, S&P as well as Fitch. They have monopolized the sector, leaving many nations, including those on the African continent, with no choice but to knock on their doors for assessments. Business reporter Motheo Khoaripe spoke to Sovereign Africa Ratings about offering credible sovereign credit services to economies and businesses from an African context.
South Africa received its first sovereign rating during the dawn of democracy in 1994. 29 years later, the country's creditworthiness is still being rated by the top three international agencies, Fitch, S&P or Moody's. And local firm Sovereign African Ratings says it's time for a new perspective.
We assert that it's clear that the needs of emerging markets are unique and that the length of time it has taken for economic transformation to be realized on a large scale indicates the need for more plurality in the provision of quality economic research and creditworthiness opinions.
The top three agencies have been criticized by some policymakers around the world for using outdated methods. A United Nations study showed that subjective biases in these credit ratings have cost African economies a combined $74.5 billion or 1.4 trillion rand.
At the onset of COVID, more than 70 countries were downgraded, citing this conservative approach. And most of these countries were actually in Africa. However, when it comes to Western economies, a look and see approach was taken. So now it is this type of bias that has to be moved away from.
In 2019, the African Union Ministers of Finance and Economy officially adopted a declaration that the continent needed its own credible institutions. And that call has been duly heeded by the likes of Sovereign Africa Ratings, who have partnered with other peers on the continent and plan to branch out to South Africa's BRICS partners, Brazil, China and India. For Newzroom Africa Channel 405, I'm Motheo Khoaripe.